Joining me is the singer and songwriter Billy Bragg, musician, socialist, activist. Good to have you on May Day. And let's just start with clearing up one thing, Billy, your position on the monarchy. You don't want to abolish it, is that right? But you think it needs to be changed?
Yeah, I'd like a ceremonial monarchy. I'd like them to be available for opening your local school, your local whatever, out on the balcony on high days and holidays, and mostly funding themselves. Maybe not so many people in the royal family, official, and a few less palaces. So, yeah, basically out of the constitution, really. I don't think they should be part of our constitution. I think the British people should be sovereign in their parliament rather than the crown. So that kind of sums it up for me, a ceremonial monarchy.
Yeah, and you met the Queen at least once, I think. I read that you met her and you said she charmed the pants off me. So do you think the respect for the late Queen, which, let's be honest, many people had, will necessarily translate into respect for King Charles?
I think that's going to be very difficult for that, because I think the thing about the Queen was she was essentially unknowable. She kept to that idea that she shouldn't really say anything that was, well, really anything at all, really. Unfortunately, with Charles, we've kind of known him for the last, what is he, 74, 75 years. We know his personality. And I think the real danger to the monarchy doesn't come from republicanism. It comes from a politics that's kind of descending into a culture war. And I think those on the right who object to people talking about Britain's role in slavery and those kind of things will find it very difficult to support Charles if he does make the monarchy more inclusive, if he does seek to address these issues that obviously are on his mind.
And what about, though, that Charles, I guess there will be some who think he has earned respect. You know, he was talking about the environment and climate change before, you know, the term global warming had been coined. The Prince's Trust does all this work for, you know, young kids who are struggling.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's great that they do these positive things. And it does allow different ideas to come into the mainstream. But as I say, I think if they begin, you know, suppose the royal family become woke, what do you think the Daily Telegraph are going to say about that? They'll go after him. And you've seen how they can go after someone the way they've treated Prince Harry. So I think that's where the real danger comes, rather than from any kind of Republican movement.
Yeah, and this idea that's, you know, that the public will be given the chance to pay homage to the king by vocally offering their true allegiance is what it says. I mean, do you think that's a good idea, or is it a high-risk strategy, do you think?
I think it's a high-risk strategy. I mean, today, as you already mentioned, Mark, today is May Day. Now, you know, some of us celebrate May Day as International Workers' Day, but if we set out to say that people are asked to, you know, fly a red flag today, or expected to fly a red flag, everybody would rightly say, well, that's not how I feel. Why should I have to do that? And I think that's the same thing with this homage. I mean, homage, it seems to me, the whole thing kind of smacks to me like something out of Game of Thrones rather than something out of a modern democracy. So I think it probably would have been better if they just did it like sort of like songs of praise. Like, you know, they put the words up for, and if you want to sing along, you can sing along. If you don't, well, you know, you can do something else, make a cup of tea, look out the window. You know, I think saying that they're, you know, asking people to do it, I think that steps over the mark a little bit. And I think it prods people who don't really mind one way or the other about the monarchy. I think it gets on their nerves a little bit. So it's dangerous, I think, dangerous.
Lambeth Palace is saying that, well, it's very much an invitation rather than an expectation or request.
Yeah, I understand that as well, but it's the same kind of thing. I mean, do we really need that sort of medieval kind of homage? I mean, it used to be, apparently. I mean, I don't know. On principle, I never go to coronations, so I wasn't at the last one. But apparently the Lords, the members of the House of Lords, all used to line up to say that. I mean, that's a bit, you know, as I say, it's all a bit tugging the forelock, isn't it? And I think we're past it. I think if Charles wants to make a modern monarchy, and, you know, the Prince of Wales now, William, want to have a kind of 21st century monarchy, they need to get past all that kind of stuff and show us how useful they can be in having a practical effect on people's everyday lives.
Yeah, well, he does talk about a slimmed-down monarchy, so maybe that will be one thing that you'd agree with. So just finally, so you haven't been invited then?
No, I haven't been invited. Although my Running with the Queen was quite interesting. She came to a gig of mine, which was interesting, where I'd rewritten the lyrics to the Ode to Joy for the reopening of the Royal Festival Hall. And afterwards, they asked me if I wanted to stand in the line and shake hands with her. And I suddenly thought to myself, who would pass up the opportunity to shake hands with the person who gave the World Cup to Bobby Moore? So I got down there and stood in the line. And the lovely thing was afterwards, I got a message from the palace. Would it be possible to get a copy of the score of the Ode to Joy, signed by Mr. Bragg for the Royal Collection? And, you know, Mark, there's a lot of people who come to my gigs and hang around in the foyer afterwards to shake my hand and get my autograph. And I don't see why I should treat her any different.
Well, lovely. All right. Well, Billy, you're not invited. I assume you're not going to be watching it. But listen, thank you.
I'm out of the country, actually, Mark. I'm out of the country altogether. By pure coincidence, I'm out of the country.
Well, listen, thank you for coming on. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. Cheers.